Hey guys, let's get more news about Steelers, but first, don't forget to subscribe and leave your like. Winners and losers from Pittsburgh Steelers loss to the Cleveland Browns. The Pittsburgh Steelers should be better than this, but they have suffered another tough loss to a team that, on paper, they should beat. With that being said, the Steelers sit atop the AFC North and remain in control of their playoff destiny, though they can no longer control their destiny for the number 1 seed. After suffering a disappointing 24-19 loss to the Browns, who were the winners and losers from the game. Advertisement loser, Mike Tomlin. There is no bigger loser than Tomlin tonight. Not because the team lost, but because of his contributions to their loss. Tomlin's clock management throughout the game was baffling. He lost 40 to 50 seconds on the end of each half through poor clock management. The Browns were able to waste about 40 seconds in the first half by faking that they would go for it on 4th and 7, but they instead kicked a field goal. Meanwhile, Tomlin failed to make the call to allow Browns running back Nick Chubb to score a touchdown and then did not call a timeout when he was tackled at the 2-yard line. That lost the Steelers another 40 seconds on the clock. Tomlin wasted the team's second timeout in the second half after a Browns conversion on 3rd and 7. Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith could join him there, too. He left Justin Fields in to throw a deep ball on 3rd down and decided a fade to Cordarrelle Patterson was their best play call for the 2-point conversion. That raises questions, but the Steelers' overall process was horrible. Winner, Calvin Austin. 3 Credit to Calvin Austin 3, who had a strong game after 2 weeks of struggles against the Commanders and Ravens. Austin took it to Greg Newsome throughout the game. He made 2 massive catches, including the go-ahead touchdown. Austin has proven this season that while he might not be a star wide receiver, the Steelers can rely on him to be a legitimate contributor at this level. There is no question about that. Loser, defensive line. For the first time, and you would hope the last time, the defensive line is on the losers list. Usually, teams neutralize the Steelers' defensive line with chips, double teams, and getting the ball out quickly. However, that is not what happened with the Steelers on Thursday. Instead, the Browns' offensive line held up incredibly well. T.J. Watt was held to 3 pressures, while the team's interior was shut out from serious pressure. Nick Herbig had the strip sack, but outside of that, the Steelers got nothing home from their defensive line, which was a huge reason they lost. Winner, Jaylen Warren. The other engine behind the offense. Warren slipped off tackles and made plays in and out of the backfield. He averaged 4.1 yards per carry, but all of those were hard-earned yards. Warren remained steady in pass protection and was the best running back the Steelers had on Thursday after a tough game for Najee Harris and Cordarrelle Patterson. Overreactions from the Steelers' 24-19 loss to the Cleveland Browns. 1. The season isn't over. Pittsburgh's performance against the Browns was so laughably incompetent at times that I'm less annoyed than usual at the expected fire Tomlin Smith / everyone and everything crowd following the loss. Thursday's game was an absolutely brutal watch. However, it's entertaining to watch the same fan base that wisely predicted this exact outcome prior to the game be the same ones to react incredulously to the loss. Yeah, it was worse than most expected, but most figured a short week, bad weather, and rivalry matchup would result in a sloppy game. It's the Thursday night football MO. Pittsburgh is still 8-3 following the loss, and in the exact same spot in the AFC North and AFC as a whole that they were going into the week, and that won't change following the rest of Week 12's games. Good teams losing the occasional stupid game they shouldn't is hardly a rarity in the NFL, and it's hard to find a more stupid game than what happened Thursday night. Pittsburgh had plenty of self-inflicted wounds on Sunday, but some things you just have to chalk up to weather being the great equalizer. On the play that set up the Browns' game-winning touchdown, Minkah Fitzpatrick had a chance to make a play on the ball but looked like he was learning how to ice skate. You can't draw too many dire conclusions from a game that served as the unofficial Ice Age 6. The Steelers were on a 5-game winning streak entering Week 12. They were bound to lose eventually, and this was one of the better times to do so. Their playoff position hasn't changed a bit, and there's a mini-bye afterwards to recuperate. Objectively though, it's kind of hilarious that Pittsburgh has gone 2-1 following the bye week, with wins over the 7-2 Commanders and 8-3 Ravens, but a loss to the 2-8 Browns. The NFL is a weird place, man. But don't forget, this is still that exact Steelers team that beat the Commanders and Ravens, and if we're throwing all the current playoff teams in there, the Chargers, Broncos, and Falcons as well. The problems that the Steelers had against the Browns haven't defined the season, or otherwise there wouldn't be so many wins over postseason caliber teams. There are plenty of issues to dive into, and we will, but let's not hit the panic button just yet. 2. The loss falls on the coaching. My 7-paragraph caveat above doesn't mean that the Steelers' Thursday performance was excusable. Pittsburgh's loss would have been bad enough if the game had ended the same way it was played through the first 3 quarters. Myles Garrett's blunt message to T.J. Watt after Browns-Steelers. Cleveland Browns defensive end Myles Garret and Pittsburgh Steelers linebacker T.J. Watt have become 2 of the most dynamic pass rushers in the NFL. To kick off Week 12 of the 2024 NFL season, the 2 stars went head-to-head on Thursday Night Football, but Garret came out on top as the Browns secured a 24-19 upset win in blizzard-like conditions. Not only did Garret help lead the Browns to their 3rd victory of the season, but he outplayed Watt in a major way. The number 1 pick in the 2017 NFL Draft out of Texas A&M recorded 5 tackles, a forced fumble and 3 sacks, tied for his season high. Meanwhile, Watt, a former Wisconsin Badger star, failed to bring down the opposing quarterback but did record a tackle for loss. After the win, Garret joined Amazon Prime for a post-game interview and had a message for Watt, making sure the Steelers superstar knows who the best pass rusher in the league is. "I got a lot of respect for him, but I'm number 1, Garret said. Edge Defender 1. Edge 1 to Defensive Player of the Year. I'm the guy. That runs through me. There's no other person being defended as I am or schemed or playing against like I am. So, just goes to show, you can throw it out of the window. I'm going to find a way." Going into the game, Garret ranked outside of the top 10 in the NFL in sacks during the 2024 season with 7. Now, after his dominant performance against the Steelers, the 2023 Defensive Player of the Year ranks 2nd in the league with 10. Meanwhile, Watt, who went into the game as the favorite to win this year's DPOY with odds of -200, DraftKings Sportsbook, stays put with 7.5 sacks on the season, tied with 4 other players for 8th in the NFL. He has also tallied 4 forced fumbles, doubling up Garret. However, these sack rankings will likely change, given the amount of teams that have yet to play this week. After winning the preceding 5 games, Watt and the Steelers have now fallen to 8-3 on the season, still good for first place in the AFC North. On the other hand, Garret and the Browns ended their 2-game drought and jumped to 3-8 overall. But Cleveland is still at the bottom of the divisional standings and will likely need a miracle to make the postseason. And you, fan? What do you think of the situation of Myles Garret? Leave your opinion in the comments.